Hey guys, so I wanted to go ahead and do this video. I've been wanting to do it for about a couple of weeks now, and basically this is the Cornerstones, and just this is just my opinion, but I wanted to go ahead and rate them in sort of a kind of like an S tier, A tier, tier, C tier, D tier ranking. I forgot to label this as F. I really think that it needs to be F tier. There we go. But yeah, basically, I want to go ahead and go through, and hopefully, this will help some folks out who are maybe struggling with choice. But also, I just kind of want to point out some things that I think are a bit too strong, and some things that I think are too good, and some things that are really, really just perfect. Um, Something that I saw in Legend of Total War's video that I really liked is he labeled in one of his videos the S tier as sort of broken, and so that's what I'm gonna call S tier. S tier, I think, is so strong that it needs a nerf. A tier is, I think, where everything should be. So if something is an A tier, then I think that that is perfect. Like it's good. I might talk a little bit about some of them that I think maybe are too strong or too weak. But if it's an A tier, then that's where it should be. Like all of this should be an A tier, but it's not. B tier means I think it needs some work, and C tier means it needs a lot of work. F tier means I think it probably shouldn't be in the game, or it needs a complete redo. Um, but yeah. Also, I just wanted to point out I've been seeing a lot of awesome content for this. I just saw the Potato McWhiskies on there, so yeah, I'm really really glad to see that there's so many more people are on this. All right, let's go ahead and get started. So first up, we got the ale delivery line. And the ale delivery line is 5 ale per minute, and it is going right into the A tier. This is a very solid one. There's gonna be a lot of ones that are where it's like such X resource for every 5 minutes. Most of them are going to be in the A tier, but there's going to be a few that are going to be B tier. Then we have Ancient Pact. So Ancient Pact is going right into C tier. The problem with Ancient Pact is that similar to Mist Piercers is going to be that it it doesn't provide enough information for what you're getting. So the only thing you're really getting out of this is that you know what resources are in the map. It doesn't show what buildings are in the map. It doesn't show what the dangers are in the map. And in my opinion, if I'm just gonna, if I need this information, because why would I pick this over something else that could be better when the only information I'm getting is what resources are in the map, and I'm losing a villager each time. I'd rather just go and open up the map. All right, next up is going to be the Ancient Stabilizer. This is the one where you get +1 to wood, but the storm lasts 25% longer, and it is going straight into S tier. A 25% longer storm for doubling your wood is way too strong. I think maybe this should be 50% longer storm, maybe, or something. But yeah, +2 to basically doubling your wood is just extremely, extremely powerful. This is an S tier cornerstone. All right, next we got Back to Nature. Back to Nature is, I'm going to put it into A tier. This is the one where basically you sacrifice one villager, and every drizzle you get 100% increased yield in your farms. I think actually in my last video I took this, so you guys can kind of see the power of this. It is very strong. I would almost say that it's S tier, but I'm gonna say this is top A tier. This is extremely good. If you have a farming economy, pick this, and yeah, just watch your farm yield be absolutely outrageous. Okay, next we have the barrel delivery line. I don't know if I've ever seen this one personally, but the barrel delivery line is going straight into A tier. 5 barrels per minute is awesome. There's so many good things you can do with barrels, and because things usually take two, or like it takes 2 barrels or 3 pottery or 1 barrel or 2 pottery. So what that means is one less barrel. It means you can start to hoard them a little bit, and then you can actually trade them. So this is a very good A tier cornerstone. Next, we got Biscuit Diet, which is um, going straight into A tier again. This is 50% chance if your farmers have eaten biscuits recently, if they have biscuits, that they get double the yield. Awesome A tier perk, very well rounded in my opinion. Next, we have black market, which is you get two cornerstone or you get two trade routes, but the queen's impatience goes up. So again, A tier, very good. Just solid. You don't always want to pick it, but when you want to, it's good. Next, we have blood price contract. Blood price contracts going into S tier, but I'm going to go ahead and put this at sort of the bottom end of S tier. Getting 10 amber for every villager that dies or leaves. It's not just if it dies, but if they leave as well, you get 10 amber. Is a little bit too strong. I think maybe this should be nerfed to maybe 7 or 8 amber, but it's an S tier. Especially if you can get it rolling with some other cornerstones that kill your villagers. Bone tools, you get this goes right into A tier. You get two infused tools, which are the better tools. Every time a villager leaves or dies, very good. If you have perks like this one that kills your villagers when you open a glade, then that means you usually get enough tools to open a whole cache. So it's a very good, solid A tier. Cannibalism. I'm also putting this into S tier. This is where you get 40 meat for every time a villager leaves or dies. So what happens, is let's say you lose a couple villagers, bam, you have 80 meat. That's a lot of meat. That's probably enough meat to sustain you for a good, another year or two. And so, yeah, uh, probably needs to be nerfed. Maybe 30, maybe 20 meat, something like that. But yeah, next we have carpenter's tools. This is going into our B tier. Carpenter's tools is you get 50% more production in the crude workstation. Okay. I've definitely had, especially in my videos recently, where I'm using the crude workstation more, not that good. I mean, it just needs a little bit of a rework, I think. Next up, we have City Renown. So City Renown is something that I've never seen. It also goes in with Ancient Artifact, which is in the tools, but I've never seen this. But what this does is it gives 3 global resolve as a cornerstone, and that would go straight into S tier. But I've personally never seen this. Okay. Next we have clay. So clay, 5 per minute is going into A tier. Clay is one of those resources that you only need like for a few things. So that means that if you just need a little bit of clay for bricks or you need a little bit of clay for pottery, um, you can use that 5 to go a long way. For the coat delivery line, going straight into A tier. Again, 5 coats per minute, very nice. It's just a nice little bonus. It just goes straight into A tier. This is another manufactured good that you get every 5 minutes. Manufactured goods are usually going to be in the A tier. Copper extractor. So copper extractor, I was thinking about putting it into B tier, but I'm going to end up putting it into A tier. It's good. The problem with it is that, if you pick it, but you don't really utilize it, then it's not really that needed, which is why I was thinking about putting it into B tier. But it has its purposes, and especially on a no trade map, when you have a trade block modifier, you can definitely make use of the extra tools if you can use the copper extractor to get those tools eventually. Crowded caravan, very solid A tier, very well designed. You get 2 extra villagers per caravan. If you need the villagers, you pick them. If you don't have to. Very good A tier cornerstone. Next, we have efficient brewing. Efficient brewing, we're putting into B tier. The reason why I'm putting it into B tier is because I think it needs to be reworked. It only works for this one building, which is a very nice building. Don't get me wrong, but I'm putting it into B tier because I think it needs to be reworked. It needs to be reworked to work with other buildings as well. I'm missing one, which is the egg delivery line. I don't know why I don't have a marker for it. I forgot to put one in, but egg delivery line I'm going to go ahead and put into B tier. Anything that's like food and such, that's just a base resource, is usually going to go, and a food-based resource is going to go into B. We're going to get a couple more, and you guys will see what I mean. Enriched amber. This makes amber just a little bit more valuable, 25%. I'm going to put that into B tier. The reason why I'm putting it into B tier is because, yes, it's nice that you get it. The problem is that For me personally, I find most of my amber is spent on buying perks from the traders, and that does not affect this. So, yeah, I'm putting this into B tier. It is very good. It makes your amber that you have more valuable and things like that. But the purpose that I need amber for, it usually doesn't solve that. So I'm going to put it into B tier. Exploration contract. Going into B tier. Exploration contract is the one that basically you gain what is it again? It's 20 reeds and 20 clay. There we go. So 20 reeds and 20 clay for every explored glade is nice. I think it needs to be buffed up just a little bit though. Next we have exploring expedition. This is going into C tier. I'm honestly thinking about putting it into F tier. Um, I'm going to leave it at C tier. This is the one where basically you have a constant -5 resolve, but every time you open a glade, you get a 15 bonus resolve. Um, you never want to see this early. This is more of a year 5, year 4, year 5, year 6 when you just want to finish out a map and you can just start opening glades. But it really does need a rework. I think 3 minutes is not even the duration of a full season, so I think this is a C tier cornerstone. Um, okay, extraction tools, F tier. This is the one where if you open 2 caches, you gain 1 of the, what are they called? Artifact. There we go. You get 1 artifact, which is the meta resource on the overmap. Yeah. Um, completely worthless in my opinion. Like I don't need meta artifacts. I'm gonna put a settlement next to a trade block modifier or something like that and gain way more. So this needs to be a complete rework. Fiber line. This one I'm putting into A tier, although kind of B tier. I think this needs to be buffed just a little bit, just because there are quite a few uses for fiber, unlike with clay. But I think there's a lot of times where you really do need fiber, especially with the fact that there are a lot of ways that not having clothing and such can kill you, and you need fiber to make clothes or things like that. All right, forged trip hammer. This is the one where this is going straight to A tier. This is the one where um, you can make parts in the crude workstation, but the crude workstation gets a minus to resolve. Uh, Very good in my opinion. If you're ever low on parts and such, you can find ways to make parts. So this is very solid. It's not always needed, but it's a very nice A tier cornerstone. Next we have fungal guide. Fungal guide is an A tier. This is the one where for every 25 times you harvest mushrooms, you gain a +1 bonus. So this is scaling. So, at first it provides 0 bonus, but over time it can get absolutely crazy. So on the marshlands especially, this is amazing to pick up like in the first year or two. Next we have the giant vegetables. This is +2 to vegetable gathering. No downside. Perfect. It's just a nice bonus. Great on maps where you have farms or you have vegetables. Next we have grain delivery line. Oh, we're missing. Man, I'm missing another. Okay. Well, there's 2 of them. So there's the fungal guide, and then there's also the grain bags, which is the same one, but for grain. Also, I would put it into A tier. And we have the grain delivery line. I'm going to put this into B tier. 5 grain per minute. It's not even enough to sustain a trade route. It's okay, but you can't even eat it. So yeah, I'm putting this into B tier. 5 per minute. I'd rather pick something else probably. Okay, next we have Hidden from the Queen. Hidden from the Queen. I want to put this into C tier, but I'm going to leave it at B tier. Oftentimes, myself and many other players that I see, we might not lose villagers. I know that when you guys maybe watch my videos, you'll see that I like to pick cornerstones that kill villagers. But even if I pick those, I don't really care about the queen knowing that they died. I might lose a few. The The main reason I put this into B tier is because I think the penalty for villagers dying maybe needs to be increased in order for this to have value. But otherwise, this just needs a rework. So I'm putting this into B tier, but possibly even C tier. It's really not that good. Hunter gatherers going into A tier, 50% bonus to um, how much you get from camps, and this essentially at the base level, if you have one, you'll actually collect two. So it's very good, but you lose 50% to fertile soil. There are so many maps that I play where I don't even farm. So yeah, I consider this an A tier. All right, improvised tools. This is the one where you get 3 tools for every glade that you open, but your woodcutters have -5 resolve. It's going straight into C tier. Let's say you open 4 glades. That's 12 tools. That means if you pick this early on and then you open 4 glades, I mean you got 12 tools, and this entire time your woodcutters had -5 resolve. In my opinion, not worth it. Incense delivery line, A tier. Again, this is a very necessary, very nice, very necessary service, and it's a manufactured good. So yep, A tier. Infused rainfall. This one is going into B tier. This is the one that gives you +3 vegetables, but you have a constant -2 resolve. I think for some players, especially newer players, they're like, "Ooh, this is nice," but the -2 resolve can hurt, especially in the beginning. So I feel like this needs a slight rework. Maybe make it -1 resolve, or at least make it +4 to vegetables. So it's going into B tier because I think it needs a slight buff. All right, leather gloves is the one that gives +2 to read. Very nice. Just if you're collecting reads, you get +2. It's a very good bonus. A tier. You don't always need it, but it's nice when you get it. Leftover crops. This is the one where you get 1 grain bag. You get 1 pack of crops for every 10 grain. S tier. Immediately S tier. Um, start collecting lots and lots of crops, get bonuses to crops, and you will just gain a lot of extra money. So absolute S tier. This needs a bit of a nerf, in my opinion. Uh, Local taxes. Again, S tier. This is one where you get 2 amber for every 10 ale that you produce. Considering that at the base level, one worker would create 10 ale each time they do it in let's say like a brewery. That means that every minute and a half, you're creating 2 amber. That's very strong. This is S tier. You can make this go a very long way. So I think maybe one amber for every 10 is maybe better, but even that I think it'd be really strong. Lost in the Wilds, just amazing. A tier. You get 1 villager per glade that you open. It's very solid A tier in my opinion. Yep. You don't always want to pick it, but it's nice. There's no downside. Okay, let's see if I can get this one right. Lost supplies. Oh yes. Okay, so lost supplies is gonna be the one where you gain 40 meat and 40 grain. 40 meat, 40 grain for every glade that you open. A tier. Very nice. It'll keep your settlement running for just that little bit longer. Very good. Very good one. Lost supply. Next, we have lumber tax. 1 amber for every 30 wood that you gain. S tier immediately. Probably needs to be 1 for every 50 or something like that. Maybe even 1 for every 80, but 1 for every 30. Yeah, really busted. S tier cornerstone. Next, we have manuscript delivery line. A tier. Just nice. Probably keeps about 5. Probably 8, maybe even 10 woodcutter or beavers. I mean, happy with just this one. So, especially on when you have a low villager, when you have 8 beaver settlement and you don't take any more, this can be very very powerful. Um, Next we have the meat delivery line. Meat delivery line is going to go into B tier. Just gaining 5 meat um, is not enough in my opinion. 5 meat per minute. It's nice, but it's either going to get eaten, or it has to be manufactured in order to become powerful. But yeah, it's not as good. Um, I mean, specialization on the other hand is A tier. Again, works the same way as Fungal Guide. Maps like Coral Forest. If you get this in the first year or two, you've basically won the game. All right, then we have Metal Delivery Line. This is going into B tier. 2 per minute, not really enough. If you have something like a lumber mill, you need 6 in order to make 2 tools. So that means you have to wait 3 minutes in order to make 2 tools. Means that you can make maybe enough for a cache once a year, maybe. If you have this, so I think it needs to be buffed just a little bit, maybe 3 per minute, and I think that'll be right into A tier. Mist Piercer, again, going to C tier. Same exact problem as Ancient Pact. If it doesn't reveal more than just the resources, I just don't need this. Moldy Grain Seeds, S tier. Gaining 5 mushrooms for every 10 grain produced is amazing. Just produce grain and you have mushrooms. That combo alone is enough to sustain mush soup, basically, because mush soup, for instance, at like a brewery requires 4 of one resource and 2 of another. So when you have 10 grain and 5 mushrooms, that's basically enough to sustain mush soup. Very good. Uh, oh, we're missing another one. Nets, which is the +2 to meats. So that's another one that I'm missing here. Oh, I remember why I'm missing. It has the same icon as the meat one. +2 to meats, again, A tier. Over diligent workers, the one where you get 2 barrels for every 5 planks produced, automatic S tier. I don't even know what to make of this. I think this needs to be 1 for every 10, maybe 1 for every 8. I mean, 1 for every 5, and it would still be S tier, I think. But 2 for every 5, yeah, that is just broken. Over time, it used to be bad. It got reworked. Now it's an A tier. I think when I pick this in like the first year or two, on average, I lose maybe about 3 to 6 villagers in a given run because of overtime, while gaining plus 30% production time. So very good A tier perk. Don't always need to pick it, but yeah, it doesn't kill half your villagers this time. So very good. Pocket knives. I don't know if this is a cornerstone, but in the info it said that it was. If this is a cornerstone, S tier. I buy this from merchants all the time. 4 plant fiber for every 10 vegetables. Busted. If you have something like a farm, or even if you have something like a homestead, you don't need to plant fiber. Just plant vegetables, and you'll get plant fiber. It's yeah, way too strong. All right, pottery deliver line, A tier. Very nice. 5 pottery per minute. Very good. You can make a lot of uses out of that. Prosperous archaeology, C tier. You gain 1 bonus to global resolve for every 2 caches that you open. You got to go through a lot of caches for this, so to be really like powerful, like you need 6 to get to 3. I mean, if you're already up to 6 caches, how many glades have you opened by then? Like 5, 6 glades you've opened. So yeah, if you're probably already winning by the time you're at that point. So it's not really that useful in my opinion. Needs to be buffed in some way. I would even say that if you have uh, maybe 2 for 3, so once you've unlocked 3, maybe making this retroactive would be would make this stronger. But yeah, it's a C tier. Prosperous settlement is the one where you gain 1+1 bonus to your global resolve for every 30 amber that you trade. S tier. This is S and then S tier above. Like this is on a whole nother level. Like it's ridiculous. If you can just get some trade going, some trade packs and such, easily you can have 5, 8, 10 bonus to global resolve within just a couple of years. So S tier needs to be nerfed. It used to be better, like 1 for every 80 or something, and I think it was maybe a little bit too strong. But I think 1 for every 60, 1 for 50 or 60 is going to be better. But 1 for 30, it's so strong. Another S tier is the rain collector filter. So this is the one where it allows you to manufacture crystallized dew inside of a um, what is that thing called? The one that makes. Oh, let's see if they've got it on here. Um, and the ring collector. There we go. The reason why this is as an S tier is because it takes only about like 30 seconds to produce it, and each crystallized dew is worth about um, one amber. So that means that you're basically producing, I think, like two to four amber per minute. It's S tier. It's very, very strong. All right, we're gonna have a few A tiers now. So we have Rebellious Spirit. I think this is an A tier. Very nice, helpful in the mid game. You know, right where you're kind of year 4, year 6, right in that area where you have, a bit of Queen's Impatience has gone up, and you can have a little bonus to it. So, very good, solid cornerstone, in my opinion. Helps a lot of new players, I think. A lot of new players really gravitate to this cornerstone. All right, then we have Reinforced Axes. A tier, 50% bonus to woodcutting. Very nice. Woodcutting is probably the one thing you're going to do the most of. So, yep, very nice. These both have the same name, which is Reinforced Tools, but this is basically 50% bonus to the homestead, 50% bonus to the farm. Again, can't complain. 50% bonus is very good. A tier, not that broken, just good. What I consider to be top tier A rank cornerstone, Rich Glades. This is such a great cornerstone, like just so perfectly balanced. Um, you don't always want to pick it, but when you pick it, you feel good about it. You get 10 extra charges on each node. So let's say you have like, clay, which has 20. Well, now you have 50% more because now it has 30. You have, brood mothers with 15. Now you have 25. Very nice cornerstone. Very well balanced, in my opinion. And then speaking of a little bit not so balanced, is we have Ritual Prosperity, which is basically Rich Glades, but better, S tier. Losing 2 villagers to have 20 more charges. I mean, for a lot of nodes, this essentially doubles them. If you have bonuses to your nodes, like let's say you have Leech Brood Mothers, right? And you're on a marshlands map, and you get a glade with 5 Leech Brood Mothers. Normally they would have 15. Now they each have 35. It's so good. I love Ritual of Prosperity. I think maybe it should be nerfed by killing 3 people, maybe. But yeah, it's automatic S tier. I pick this almost all the time that it's available to me. It is so good. I love it. Route delivery line, B tier. Again, same problem with the grain delivery line. Just not enough. Five per minute is just it's just not enough. Rooty Ground, though, S tier. Um, very, very similar to the Ancient Stabilizer. You get +1. You basically double your wood for 25% slower harvesting and sowing. If you have a problem, I mean, stick one extra farm with one extra farmer, and that'll probably solve it. But yeah, if you're not even, if you're really not even like planting and stuff, then who really cares? This is just a straight bonus of doubling your wood. S tier. Um, Sacrificial rituals. I'm gonna put this into F tier. I initially had it on my list as C tier, but I'm putting it into F tier. Losing 1 villager for essentially like 30 seconds less on your storm is just not worth it. Maybe if you sacrifice 1 villager and it's like 50% less to the storm, this could be worth it. But yeah, even if you have perks that kill your villager, or if you have things that benefit you when villagers die, like let's consider cannibalism, right? Does it really matter if I lose the villager because they left, because the storm lasted 30 seconds longer, or I wasted a whole cornerstone just to kill a villager? Yeah, this is F tier. Sahilda's Secret Cookbook, S tier. I think everybody who has picked this knows why this is S tier. You gain 5 extra jerky for every 10 mush soup. So strong. Sharp Sickles, A tier, +2 to herbs. Just very good. Again, can't complain. Sloppy wood cutting. I initially had this as C tier. I'm putting this down to F tier. The problem with this is that as good as like 50% extra wood cutting speed is, and I almost thought about putting the wood cutting speed down into B tier, um, most of the time your woodcutters are not really spending the time cutting the wood. The wood cutting is already so fast. And having a 200% burn rate faster, I think everybody who's ever picked this realized just how worthless this is. So this needs a complete rework. I think it's not good at all. Next, we have small distillery. Where did I put small distillery? A tier, right? Yeah. Small distillery is A tier. This is the one where you gain 4 crystallized dew for every 10 uh, rainwater that you collect. Um, this is actually very good when you have like a trade block modifier because it's a good way to generate crystallized dew because the Rainmaker, whatever it's called, I forget the name of it now, um, is an essential building that you can have. So I'm putting this into A tier. It's very nice, especially if you can get the perk where in the drizzle you gain +5 to the rain how much you collect. This can be very nice. Putting that into A tier. Small press is going to be next, S tier. Gaining 5 oil for every 10. Oil is already a compound. It's something that requires multiple things to be created. And to gain 5 free oil for every 10 grain, so good. Um, yeah, this is S tier. Probably, maybe if it was like 2, maybe 1 or 2 oil for every 10, it would be more balanced. But at 5, this is broken. Uh, Spices. I have been playing on the experimental branch, and I have really loved spices. I'm putting it in the A tier. It's just a great way to if you have like an herb garden and you have a lot of roots and things like that, and you pick this and you start making, because it takes time to make the biscuits, which is why I'm putting this into A tier. It's very powerful, but it's also just it takes a while to get it going, and it's very good. A tier. Next up is steel pickaxes. Again, +2 to stone. A tier. Nothing wrong with that. If you're on a map heavy with stone and you have ways to utilize it, you can make your stone into bricks. You can turn your bricks into packaged material goods, building materials, things like that. So awesome. No downside. Survivor bonding. This is the one that gives you 10% movement speed and +1 to global resolve. I'm putting it to B tier. For a cornerstone, it's just not good enough in my opinion. 10% movement speed. I mean, 10% movement speed and +1 to global resolve. The 10% movement speed you can buy at traders, things like that. It's just not good enough. I think if this was like 15 or 20% movement speed, it would immediately go into A tier. And with just uh, keep the +1 global resolve. But yeah, it's just not good enough in my opinion. It's nice, if you got nothing better, it's nice. But yeah. Next up, we have tanning racks, +2 to leather. Just a nice bonus. Pick it one time when you're on the marshlands, for instance, and you'll pretty much never have a problem with leather. Um, Thrill of exploration. This is going into B tier. So this one is basically you just get +3 global resolve for 1.5 minutes every time you open a glade. In my opinion, just not worth it for a cornerstone. I almost put this into C tier, but I'm going to leave it at B tier. Because usually most of the time I want my cornerstones to do something meaningful, and this just doesn't last long enough to do anything meaningful. Trade logs, S tier, immediate S tier, +25% to trade. So if this was just 25, if this was split, I think it would be better because you can actually buy a cornerstone, a perk from like I think it's Sother that sells it, and some others where you get +25% faster arriving traders, which is half of what this does, and the other half is +25% to the value of trade packs. This is S tier. I think this needs to be split into 2 cornerstones. Value added tax. Oh boy, have I talked about this in my other videos. S tier and then beyond S tier. Gaining 2 amber for every 5. I think I think at a healthy place for it would be like one amber for every 10 trade packs, something like that. Trade packs are already being sold. So, yeah, this is so abundantly broken, it's not even funny. Uh, our last S tier is going to be Vineyard Town. With the rework that's been done, and even before the rework, this was a very strong one. You don't have to consume 10, um, 10 wine, 10 luxuries. You only have to produce it. So if you just keep producing this, you know, just have some beavers, have whoever buy the necessary barrels and such to produce this, and then put out two sellers if you have to, even three, and then just watch as your beaver resolve basically gives you the victory. And then last is going to be wine delivery line, which again is going to go into our A tier. So let's go into A tier because again this is a manufactured good that you get 5 per minute. It's very nice, very similar to the manuscripts. It's a good. It only affects the beavers. Um, we'll see with the new race coming out. Maybe they'll be affected by these, but yeah. So this is kind of the tier list that I have. I'm very glad that there are a lot of A tiers. Like I said, A tier is where everything should be. It means I think it's perfectly balanced in the A tier. There are quite a few broken, in my opinion, cornerstones that definitely need to be reworked, need to be changed, need to be nerfed a bit, and there's quite a few that just need buffs. These three needs to be completely reworked, in my opinion. They need to be removed. I hate these. When I see them, I'm just like, ugh, just one less choice. But yeah, these ones need to be reworked as well. These ones just need a slight buff, I think, and then all these I'm very happy with. Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed. Love to hear your comments down below, and yeah, thanks for watching.